Most photographers, the truth is, they don't know the money maths. So in this video, I'm going to explain a few things about the money maths that I think you should pay attention to. Because if you don't pay attention to those things, of course, you can be very fulfilled as a creative, but you would be a struggling one. You will be fulfilled as a creator. You'll be fulfilled as a creative photographer. Your ideas are popping in your head. You're making it work. Yes, that could work. But the truth is, at the end of the day, those things don't necessarily make money. Because I want you to always remember that as a photographer, you don't have pension waiting for you. You need to actually understand that. Because once you understand there is no pension waiting for you when you're older, it reshapes every way you look at your life. It reshapes how you look at money, how you look at business, how you look at this yourself as a business person. Because, as people in the creative sector, the non-formal sector, we don't pay attention to even the voluntary pension scheme because, of course, there are two pension schemes available for people. The involuntary one and the voluntary one, right? So the involuntary one is the mandatory one. So if you work in a corporate space, whether it's in the public sector or it's in the private sector, it is expected that your employer actually files and opens an account for your pension scheme and contributes to it. So there's a pension amount that they take, depending on your salary, they take out from your salary and the company doubles it. So whatever they are removing from your basic salary, the company matches that and sends it to your pension fund. That is really the one that if you're working in an organized sector. But if you're self-employed, you are a freelancer, you are an entrepreneur in the creative space, you need to understand that you don't have access to that. So you can voluntarily say, you know what, I want to open a pension fund. So you go to one of these pension managers, I can't mention their names, but if you search, there are lots of them. In Nigeria, you could search for pension managers, pension funds. You would actually come up with a lot of them. So you do your due diligence and look at the one that suits, talk to all of them and look at the one that suits your particular purpose, where you are going to and where you currently are. Then you choose the pension fund and the firm that actually helps you achieve your financial goal when it comes to your pension management. So like I said, most photographers don't think about that. We just feel that we make money today, we pour all the money inside our creative idea, we want to do the next collaboration shoot, so we are sponsoring the makeup artists, we are paying for the models, we are paying for locations, we are paying for everything to make that idea work. Because as creative people, that's what we do. We thrive when our creative juice flow. So it doesn't matter how much it would take, we would do that. So you end up making ₦1,000,000 and you end up spending almost ₦1,000,000 executing project after project after project. Boss. So, sorry for disturbing your YouTube video that you were watching, but I have to tell you this. If you're a photographer, you're a creative business person, a filmmaker, whatever you're doing, but you're struggling to make money, I have something for you. If you send me a DM, we could book a session and we can change that thing for you. We have results that we have done and given to people all over the world, not just in Nigeria alone, in the UK, in the US, in Canada. It doesn't really matter. Business principles do not respect geographical boundaries. What we know is that once you apply the strategy, it will work. So there's a link under this video. Click on that link, book a session, and let's fix your creative business. You can now go back to the video and enjoy the rest of it. In as much as that is good, that is not a good money math. So the first thing you need to think about is the future. Think about, how can I work today, save for tomorrow, and be sure that if eventually I don't get to work again, if eventually I am not strong to work again, or I am weak to work again, or I'm not in good health to work again, or I'm old, I just retired, so I don't get to work again, then you now ask yourself, how will I be surviving in that point? Because if you think that the market is saturated right now, think about in the nearest future. Think about in 20, in 30, in 40, in 50 years, when you have the younger generations coming in. You don't want to be struggling with clients with them. You wouldn't even have the energy. You wouldn't have the mental space because for the ones that will have children, children would come, education would come, a lot of spending would happen, and it could be draining. You want to start the money maths by thinking about the future. How much of my current earning am I setting aside for that future? And who is going to manage that money? Because there's one point when you think about, oh, I should do save money. I should put aside money. I should save money that I have and all of that kind of stuff, right? But the point is, are you good enough to manage money? Because you need to understand that saving money in a normal bank account, all you get in a year could be between 1% and 5%, and that's not a lot of money. So you need to go to people who are professional fund managers, who are professional pension managers to think about your future. So when you set aside the money that you say, okay, every month, this is the money I will always be setting aside for the future. You know that that money is being managed professionally by people who are wealth managers working for people who are trying to build their pensions. So that is number one maths. That's number one money maths that you need to understand. The next thing on the money maths is you need to think about your cost. So think about your cost in this part. So when you're thinking about your cost, think about it in these two buckets. Think about your fixed cost and think about your variable cost. Those are the two costs you need to think about. The fixed cost and the variable cost. The fixed cost is the things that it is fixed. Nothing can change it. Things like your payment for, let's say, our Pixel, let's say for Adobe Photoshop, let's say for Capture One, let's say for any other software that you use to do your creative work, which is paid annually. That money, that amount that you pay, that fee that you pay is fixed. Let's say things like your rent for your studio space, that's a fixed cost. It wouldn't change the next month. So once you paid, you have that for a whole year. That's a fixed cost. You need to think about all of the things that are your fixed cost. Maybe sometimes if you're paying for your internet yearly, that could actually come into becoming your fixed cost. So think about all the things that cannot change in a year. Those are your fixed costs. Because you need to pay attention to the things that you're going to pay that will last you a long time, right? And then you need to think about your variable costs. When you talk about your variable costs, you're talking about things that can really just change. So things like you could actually want to do your, what do you call it, the collaborations today. Let's say you went to get a model today, you can pay, let's say 100,000 naira for it. The next month, it might actually say, oh, because of accommodation, oh, because of transportation and all of those kind of things, the price goes from 100 to 120. So all of those things that can really just change, you can't fix it. Let's say things like your phone calls, the amount that you spend on call credit. Those ones are not fixed costs because you don't know how many people you're going to call, you don't know how much credit you're going to burn out and all of those kind of things. So those are the things that are not fixed. So if whatever is not fixed is actually a variable cost. So understand those numbers. Because if you don't understand what your fixed cost is, what your variable cost is, you are not in business. You are just getting revenue. At the end of the day, it is the idea of what your fixed cost is, what your variable cost is, that would now inspire you to look at this business model I'm running. Does it work with the fixed cost that I have? Does it work for the variable cost that I have? Because most of the time, you just go into business, you just choose randomly business models because some other person does it, you think, okay, I should just do that. Or because the barrier to entry is very low, you think, okay, that's the right way to go about it and all of that. But far from it, you need to think about it as a business person and say, okay, if I have this amount of fixed cost, I have this amount of variable cost, what is the next thing that I can do that is under my control for me to actually make more profit? Because if you have a higher fixed cost, you have a higher variable cost, it means that the money that will be left as profit will be very little. The margin will be very little. And as business people, you want to, as much as you can, increase your profit margins. So you need to think about this business model I'm doing right now. Is there a way that I can bring down my costs, whether it's the fixed cost or it's the variable cost? Or is there a way that I can actually increase the number of things that I do so much that even when the fixed cost is there, the only thing that will actually get into my profit will be the variable cost, the one that cannot be controlled. Let me give you a typical example. You're a photographer, you run a portrait business, and you have a studio. The truth is, if you have 10 clients in a year and you have 100 clients in a year, it doesn't change your fixed cost. Your rent is still going to be your rent, no matter the amount of clients that you bring in. You see it? The amount you pay for your software subscription is still going to be the same, no matter the amount of people you bring in, whether you bring in 10 clients in a year or you bring in 100 clients in a year. So that fixed cost is there. So for you to make profit, your job is to make sure that you increase the amount of people, the number of people that you bring in. And secondly, and think about, can I also increase the fee? Okay, for example, if your fixed cost will take 50% of every client that walks in, the money that they pay you, and your variable cost will take another 35%. That is 85%. So your job is to think about, as a business person, in this model that I'm playing, how can I make the most profit? There are other ways to go about it. So let me tell you a few ways to go about that. You can think about it this way. Can I reduce my costs? You see that I can reduce my fixed costs or I can reduce my variable costs. But the way this thing works is that you might really be able to just reduce your variable costs. Sometimes you can reduce your fixed costs if you move from a certain location to another secondary location, which will make some of your fixed costs cheaper, right? And the next thing you should think about is the number of people you can bring in. So it's not just about making the photographs, doing creative work, becoming excellent at it. You need to bring in clients. And for you to bring in clients, you need to be great at generating leads. So you need to now think about, how can I bring in more people to know about what I do? That's the next part. The other thing you should think about is, if I increase my price, that will actually raise the profit margin. Can I successfully, in my model, increase my price and drive more people? Because if you do these three things well, you reduce your costs, you increase the number of people that come to pay you, and then you can increase your price, you will be profitable. That is money maths that I want you to pay attention to. Don't just be happy about the fact that, oh, one client came from here, another day they're saying your work is good, people are cheering you, say your job is better, you are dope and all of that. Do not allow that to get into your head. Understand this maths. Understand what your fixed cost is. Understand what your variable cost is. Understand how you can make more people come to do and pay you for what you do. Think about, how can you reduce your fixed cost or your variable cost? And now finally think about, how can I increase my price in such a way that I'll still have a lot of people come in, reduce my costs, whether it's the fixed or the variable cost, and then increase my price. That is where your profit margin would literally leap. But the truth is, you cannot do all of those things I've mentioned in the different business models that we have in this industry. So we have business models like people who are, you book, you show up, you photograph. You have business model where people have a walk-in studio, you can walk in anytime and you take a photograph, you pay them and you move. So depending on the business model you're using, so let me explain some of the business models that we have. So we have the low ticket, high volume. Low ticket, high volume means that your price is low, but you have a lot of people coming. Your price is cheaper. So people can say you are the cheaper photographer and all of those kind of things. So it is cheap, but again, because it's cheap, you have a lot of people. That is a business model. You have the other ones that is the high price tag, but the volume is low. So you're charging premium, way above market rates and all of those kind of things. But at the end of the day, you are not attracting as much because it's not for everybody. You are premium. So instead of you maybe having 100 clients in a year, you can have like 25, but that 25 pays you high ticket. So you have the high ticket and low volume. Then you have the ones that are the high ticket, high volume. That is the one that has the highest profit margin. So you have your price is way up here, but you also generate enough leads that turn into clients that are way up here. High volume, high fee. That is what you want to play. So, like I said, most people do not actually understand these models and what they are playing with. So it's very difficult for them to really come to say, okay, this is the money maths that I have to pay attention to. So all of these money maths I'm talking about is that you need to know which model are you running with and what math is best for that model. Because if you don't know what model you're running on, you can't actually do the best maths for yourself. You can't use one maths like money maths from one model and think it will work for the other business model. It doesn't work that way. You need to identify what your own business model is, identify what your money maths should be, and then run with that. After that, the next money maths is how much are you going to pay yourself for today? Remember that we started with how you're going to earn money in the future. Then we now talked about how you can actually put yourself and put your business in a way you can make more money. But right now, the next one is how can you, as a matter of fact, make money for today?